Today, I'll be ranking every Genshin version update. With the conclusion of version 4.6 and all of these talks about dry patch this and that, I've decided to reveal my own thoughts. I've seen so many tier lists, yes, even a Genshin foot tier list, but I've yet to see a version update tier list, so I'll be doing it myself today. This is really just for fun, but I love to know your thoughts, so definitely comment down below and let's get on with the rest of the video. Okay, so we have everything loaded in. A lot of this is going to be based on personal opinion, but I still want it to be as fair as possible. So what I'll be rating everything on is based on the quality of flagship events and permanent content that was released within a patch. I'm also going to be looking at characters released and like kind of the vibes and memorability of a patch. If you didn't know, there are 31 different patches that were released over the span of like almost 4 years now. So we really have come a long way, haven't we? All right. So here are the rankings. We got peak for the top of the top content. We have great, not quite yet in the peak tier, but it was a good patch. It's very memorable. Good is it's a solid patch, nothing too crazy, but it was fairly enjoyable. And then we have the okay patch. The okay patch is like more for, hey, it was all right, chillin', you know? Then we have the Duke patch. I really doubt that anything is going to go down in here. I don't believe that there's a single bad patch among all of these 31 patches, but we will see. And then we have No Play, No Say. I started in 1.2, so right off the bat, the first patch and 1.1 are going into there. 1.2, the Chalk Prince and the Dragon. I am very hesitant I really want to put this in peak. Realistically, it's not. It's more me. It's very memorable to me just because this is my very first patch, but I do think it at least deserves the great rating. It is our very first expansion pack, lots of deep lore. My very favorite character got released this patch. But yeah, looking back, you know, lots of good things in this patch. Only downside is that the lore is no longer available. Moving on, 1.3, All That Glitters. I think this was a solid patch. I think it deserves to go into the good tier. I don't think it needs to go all the way at the top for now. I don't think that the event quest was the best that Genshin has to offer. However, it was very sweet and enjoyable. The Lantern Rite vibes were very immaculate, and I think it's very memorable because it is the first one. This is also the patch that we met Dainsleif, so very Chad. I think, yeah, overall a solid patch that's fairly balanced. It was a good patch for sure. And then we have 1.4, Invitation of Windblume. I think this is also a good patch. I did kind of enjoy it more than I did 1.3. I think there was a more cohesive and stronger story, if I'm remembering correctly. I did like the mini games a little bit more than Lantern Rite. Oh, and then also we had that whole Endora event. And then we got Hangouts, so that goes above 1.3 in my opinion. Alright, 1.5, Beneath the Light of Jadeite. Looking back, this does kind of seem like one of the more quieter patches in terms of like temporary events, but we did get like a whole bunch of permanent content as like the Archon quest. We also got the Serenity Teapot, new hangouts, a new weekly boss. But overall, I feel like this patch, just because the limited events were they didn't stand out. So I do think it was a solid patch, but I think on the memorability factor, it's gonna go into okay for now. It might go back up to good. 1.6, Midsummer Island Adventure. That one's going straight into the great tier. This is the first time we're seeing Alice. We got our very first outfits. The minigames are awesome. I feel like there was a really good balance between the limited and like the amount of time we had that whole entire patch. Vibes were immaculate, story was really good. Outside of that, there isn't a whole bunch of permanent content except for the like the Archon quest with Kazuha and Beidou. That was really good though. But yeah, it was a really good end to version 1. 2.0, the Immovable God, and the Eternal Euthymia. I think this was a good patch. No, I think it goes towards like the top of good. A lot of the influence is coming from the hype and release of Inazuma. I think that the Archon quest is really good, but you know, most of us will probably agree that the writing quality in Inazuma as a whole is just like one of the weaker points compared to like all of the other patches. But at the end of the day, it was good. Definitely the release of Inazuma overshines everything in this patch. Yeah, it's going into good. Next up is 2.1, Floating Worlds Under the Moonlight. I think this is going into good. Oh, hold on. Hold on. 2.1 is the anniversary, but this was wild, yeah. You know, Google Classroom caused some strays, people were fighting left and right. Yeah, all that. If y'all were there for the anniversary, we did get the Moon Chase Festival outside of like the permanent content, which actually I really enjoy. I really enjoy that. We got some Guoba lore, but in terms of like the more newer limited time events, it doesn't like stand out to me. Like if someone will like mention it to me, right, I'll like be like, oh yeah, I like that. But it's not like one of the ones that, you know, more like, you know, these two up here. But I do think with the amount of like limited content and permanent content, it was rather enjoyable. So that's gonna go to the top of good tier for now. Next up is 2.2, Into the Perilous Labyrinth of the Fog. This was definitely a more chill patch. I think it's gonna have to go into like the middle of good for now. I personally really like the story of Shiki Taisho, I believe that was his name. We also get Surumi Island, which was the lore and storytelling of this was actually really good. We got some new mini games with like Kazuha and like the Osu stuff. This definitely was like a very solid patch. It's gonna go there for now. All right, and then we have 2.3, Shadows Amidst Snowstorms. I am biased. I realistically want to put this up in here. Up in great. I am definitely biased towards Albedo. He needs to be freed from limited prison. But yeah, this event was great. The story was very good. Oh, we also got the Bantan Sango Case Files event, which was really cute. Okay, it's gonna go into great for now. However, I think as we rate more of these other patches, it is gonna go probably down to good, just because as a whole it's not like overwhelmingly great, but it is really solid, so it's gonna stay there for now. All right, next up is 2.4, Fleeting Colors in Flight. All right, 2.4 is our second Lantern Rite, which was really good. However, is this the one with Kuching? I think so. It's very reminiscent of version 2 storytelling, where a lot of characters are very like one-dimensional still, and it definitely has improved towards like the later parts of version 2. However, this definitely suffers from that. I think this is going to go, the vibes were there and everything like that. It's a good patch. You know what, I think it's gonna go above these two, just because it did feel more full as a Lantern Rite event. All of the mini games and everything like that, they were very solid. We got the Oceanic Defender event. I am personally a sucker for co-op events, like especially combat-based ones. Oh, hold on. We got a new Archon quest with the Jade Chamber. We also got Enkanomiya. I loved Enkanomiya. Actually, this is going up above. Okay, actually, no, this is going into great. I forgot that Enkanomiya was released in this patch. This was a great patch, actually, now I'm looking back. What the hell was that? I am tweaking putting that into good. That was a great patch. Okay, that's gonna go above. Okay, and then we have 2.5, When the Sakura Bloom. We have a solid event. What was the limited event for this? Oh, this was the Three Realms Gateway Offering event with Enkanomiya. I think that realistically, it probably should have been released later on. But it was a really good event. We got some good lore and everything like that. We got a second quest, which was good too. This is gonna go onto the top of good tier. 2.6, Zephyr of the Violet Garden. That is going into great tier. I think I liked it better than 2.3. Very chill, lots of lore with lots of different characters involved. Like we even get like Sakura lore. Oh, this is also the patch that released the Chasm. I don't really like the Chasm as much as some of the other expansions, but it is very solid. It's definitely a lot more eerie than Enkanomiya. Then we also got a new Archon quest with Dainsleif, so that's also a dub. Oh, this was also the patch where we got the Eternal Ayaka banner. This was extended due to like lockdowns in China, which obviously wasn't Hoyo's fault, but the memes were good. Moving on, we have 2.7. This, I am conflicted because this is a very quiet patch. However, the quality of, okay, premise first. The main event is tied to the Archon quest in this patch. A lot of you guys are assuming that this was like limited time lore. No, it is an actual Archon quest. There was just an event tied to it. Aside from that, there really wasn't much going on this patch. And most of it's probably due to like the delay that happened in 2.6, which of course is of no fault to Hoyo. I am conflicted because as a whole, there wasn't really much going on, but the quality, it definitely speaks volumes, right? It is very memorable, but as a patch as a whole, I think it deserves to be go into the okay tier. Okay, I'm gonna leave that for now. Moving on to 2.8, Summer Fantasia. This is instant peak material. Y'all aren't even gonna question it. Why should we? But for those of you guys who have never played it, who joined later on, let me explain how good it was. So this patch, basically an extension of 1.6, we get Fischl, Xinyan, Mona, and Kazuha. Basically, there's like some leyline things going on that at the end we realize that it's actually Nahida kind of messing with some leyline stuff at the end to like bring happiness to us. They all get their own little islands and everything like that. It was so good. We were well fed by Hoyo. The only downside to this patch was how much content there truly was in this patch, especially Fischl's islands. Hers went crazy. There were so many like little puzzles and like a lot of like different plays, but definitely this was a patch that you wanted to start like as soon as it was released. There were so many people who put it off, including myself. I was kind of feeling a little burnt out at this time. It wasn't a patch that you could like speed run through at all. I ended up enjoying Fischl's island. I would rank it as, I really enjoyed Mona's the best, and then it would be Fischl, and then Xinyan, and then Kazuha, and then we got a 5-star skin for D-Luke, and then we got a little quest to go alongside with it, which was really good. Yeah, pretty chillin'. Yeah, no more words needed for that. Alright, and then we go into 3.0. We get the release of Sumeru, which I think for me was a lot more hype than it was like Inazuma. A lot of the limited time content is related to the release of Sumeru, encouraging you to go through Sumeru and everything like that. The writing is a whole lot better in comparison to Inazuma. There's just like a whole different level of care that went into the lore and like the writing. The only thing that I will mention about is that there is a lot of yapping that just kind of doesn't need to exist. It can definitely be condensed. But overall, it was a really good patch. I think this is going to go great. This might go down to good later on. 3.1, King Deshret and the 3 Magi. There is a lot that was released this patch. There is so much permanent content. We get the continuation of the Archon quest, a whole new sub-region which I loved. I know a lot of people didn't like the desert, but the quality of like the world quest, great, amazing. This is also an anniversary patch, so we got the Wine Liesel Fest, which was really cozy and wholesome. It's going to go... I'm going to put it into great for now. 3.2, Akasha Pulses and the Kalpa Flame Rises. This was definitely a solid patch. The main event was pretty good. The Fabulous Fungi Frenzy was really good too. It wasn't drawn out, it was enjoyable. The mini games were really cute and everything too. The rest of the patch did feel kind of empty. There isn't like a whole bunch of permanent content that was released outside of like the Archon quest or anything like that. This is definitely a solid patch. It's definitely going into good for sure. 3.3, all senses clear, all existence void. This was an okay patch for myself personally. Archon quest interlude was really good. However, I'm not really sure if it can really hold up to the rest of the patch. We do get TCG, we get Akitu Kimodameshi, which for you guys is the limited events where you get the test of courage in Inazuma. As much as I really liked the little trailer for that, I feel like the quest as a whole just left me disappointed, and in a way the conclusion of the plot I didn't really find it that satisfying. But yeah, I think this is going in okay. I think it's going into okay for now. It's a patch that I really wanted to like more than I did. 3.4, my bad. The Exquisite Night Chimes. This lantern rite was pretty good. I think the more memorable part is the Hu Tao rapping part, which low-key, like, it's kind of cringe, but it was a fun type of cringe. Outside of lantern rite, we got a whole new area in 3.3. We got new world quests, Alhaitham and Yao Yao. More outfits and stuff like that. Definitely a lot to do. We also got the Almighty Arataki Extraordinary and Exhilarating Extreme Beetle Brawl events, which was super wholesome too. It's definitely a solid patch with few negatives, so I think it's going into the good tier. Yeah, for sure. 3.5, Windblume's Breath. I love this patch. That's going no, right here. I personally really like the limited time event of Windblume. But yeah, overall it was very fun, wholesome. We also got some permanent content this patch. We got the new Archon quest with Dainsleaf and some hangouts, and then we also got Dea. Dea is a great character. It is a shame that her kit is so awful. Alright, 3.6, A Parade of Providence. This is going into great tier as well. I think that's gonna go there. My humble opinion, the quality of the limited event and permanent content was outstanding. We get Baiju, we get Nahida's second story quest was amazing. We get a weekly boss alongside it. The new area that was added to this patch is one of my favorite additions, and I also love Sarouche. I love this addition because of like how soft and ethereal the story felt against like its harsh environment. So definitely going into the great tier. Limited event was really good, pretty much like a Kave like focused limited event, very wholesome and everything like that. Yeah, he's also one of my favorite characters and very relatable. Yeah, definitely relate to him on a personal level. Alright, 3.7, Duel the Summoner's Summit. Definitely a very good patch. However, I will admit, I'm not a TCG enjoyer. I really enjoyed the event as like an event, but it's not like one that really like strikes out to me because I liked it. It's more memorable because it is like TCG and because I don't really play it that much. Very wholesome, and I did like the story. It definitely pulled some heartstrings at the end. However, for the rest of the patch, I don't think there's much permanent content. Just like a few quest additions, nothing mind-blowing. And I think the mini games are mainly, they're like a rerun of other mini events that we've seen in the past. Definitely a solid patch. I think overall as a whole, they are better written and like executed than these other patches, just because like it is a newer patch, right? The more you do something, typically you will be like improving and growing, right? Definitely a solid patch, just not one that was really for me. 3.8 Secret Summer Paradise. I know a lot of you guys have conflicting thoughts on this. Me personally, I really did enjoy it. There are some things that are noticeably different compared to some of the other summer events, right? Idia, she is very relatable and is very sweet. I think my biggest complaint is how empty the Valyrian Mirage felt. The Golden Apple Archipelago was more ocean if you really look at the map. Bottomlands didn't have a whole ocean that you can excuse for emptiness. But I do want to praise Hoyo for one other thing though. I love the attention to detail that always goes into like the UX and the UI of event menus. This one is my favorite one. I see you, Hoyo. I see your attention to detail. I love it. Keep it up. Keep it up. With that said, I think this does deserve to go into the great tier. I had a lot of fun with it. I loved exploring. I think it does deserve to go into great tier. And I think everyone comparing it to like some other patches really does takes from its own brilliance. And I don't really think that's fair for this patch. It had a good thing going for it. Okay. Now that we've reached Fontaine, I think my ratings will be a little bit more accurate in terms of like my personal opinion, just because I can remember a lot more due to how recent some of these patches are. With that said, 4.0, as the light rain falls without reason. This, in my opinion, was a really great patch. I think I enjoyed it more than some of these other ones, just because of how truly different it was as well. Like, we got underwater exploration. I think the quality of the art conquest is also like on a whole different level this patch. Also, Hoyo, they do a really good job of creating really well developed characters that is like obvious right off the bat. You no longer really see characters that are really just one-dimensional, like even if they are just a side character, right, where they don't really need as much characterizations. There's like a lot more depth to them. In hindsight, Farina is really seen as a great character. However, so many people hated her. I also really disliked her. All right. 4.1 To the Stars Shining in the Depths. This is one of the patches where I enjoyed the permanent content a little bit more than the limited content. We got a whole new region with the Liffey region, new quests, Risley and Nivelette. 4.1 is also an anniversary patch. While I did love the vibes, in my opinion, I don't think it lived up to the expectation of what it should have been, especially for an anniversary patch. I don't know about you guys, it felt like it just ended out of nowhere. So I think this is going into, it's going definitely into the good tier. I will be real. Okay, I think these are gonna go down into good tier. I think this is gonna go down here. Maybe? Maybe this goes up here. Because I had a blast. 3.0 for sure. I'm feeling conflicted now that these, like, we're filling out everything. Okay. Yeah. It'd be like that. 4.2 Masquerade of the Guilty. This for sure is going into great. Where do I want to put it though? Let's see. I think it's gonna go there for now. 4.2 was a really good patch. I'm going to be real, I don't really like the Arianis Forest as much as like some of the other expansions, but everything else is very solid. It's very cool. We get an amazing conclusion of the art conquest, which I think has been my favorite so far. We get Thelsi's fantastic adventures, which was definitely a surprise. It's a very short and bittersweet story and event. The mini games were very chill. I think just because of how enjoyable it was. Puts it into the great tier. I don't know if I enjoyed it more than these other two patches though. I think I'm more conflating the end of the Archon quest with it being into the great tier, but I don't think I enjoyed 4.2 more than I did these other two patches. You look at all these patches, right? And you're just like, man, did I actually like really like this one more? Maybe it deserves to be into the good patch. I think so, yeah. Dang. We're gonna simmer on that for a little bit. Okay, moving on. We're close. We got 3 more. 4.3 Roses and Muskets. Okay, I don't know about y'all, but I didn't really care for this event as much as I thought I was hoping to. But I don't think it was a bad story. 4.3 did for me feel more like a filler patch. A lot of the sub events we've seen before, so nothing groundbreaking either. Although I did really like the mini games for the main event. I felt like they went hard. But as an event, I don't think those other things really speak volumes, more so than like the main course, right? So I think it's gonna go into the bottom of good tier. And okay, actually no, I'm gonna put in an okay. It was an okay patch for me. Alright, 4.4 Vibrant Harriers Aloft in the Spring Breeze. I think this goes into either the bottom of great or the top of good. I really enjoyed the lantern, right? The vibes were there for sure. However, I don't really feel like it was as invested in itself, in a way. But aside from that, it was a really solid patch. We got Chenyu Veil, some good world quests and everything like that, new outfits, and some solid permanent stuff. You know what? I think this is going into the good tier. Looking back, I don't think I enjoyed Chenyu Veil as much as I have other expansions. We get some good lore and everything like that. However, I don't think it's as detrimental as some other expansions that we've had in the past. So it's gonna go to good for now. Top of good. Okay, last patch. 4.5 Blades Weaving Betwixt Brocade. Alright, this is straight up going into the okay tier. Yeah, that's going into the okay tier. It is, in my opinion, very much a filler patch. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, we got some really good lore with the Parent Harry book. I think that's really cool. However, there really isn't much going on. The Alchemical Ascension event is not my cup of tea. I didn't like it when it first came out in 3.5 for Windblume. It feels so drawn out. I wish that there was an optional like speed run button or something like that. I love the cat event, right? But for me, it has the opposite issue of the alchemy event. It kind of felt too short. Not in terms of gameplay wise, more so in terms of the story. Yeah, I just wasn't really invested in this entire patch at all. Like, I'm not even going to complete the battle pass. That's how uninvested I kind of was this patch. So now that we've kind of like messed around with everything, let's take a look and see if it kind of makes sense comparing everything else. I really don't think that anything, like any patch is bad, but maybe for the sake of argument's sake, that, in my opinion, will go into the Duke. Did I enjoy 1.8 more than I did 1.2? I think I did. So I think that's gonna go kind of like the same. Wait, okay. I am 3.1 is the one that's like tripping me up. Let's look at it. King Deshret and the 3 Magi. Maybe it does deserve to be in gray. I don't know. Okay, I think you know what? Yes, I feel like oh my gosh. Okay, I think this is going to go into the top of good. And honestly, I think this is actually, I'm actually feeling this. Yeah, I think this is a tier list that I am fairly happy with now at this point. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked it, for sure, leave a like, leave a comment on your opinions on if I did a good job at making this tier list, yes or no. I will upload this as a tier list as well if you guys want to make your own. Bye!